theater of terror. The one type of anthology film, if you even want to say that, could be your next nightmare. Because what if you were the only one in the audience, and what could actually happen if things got a little too real? What's up, everybody? My name is Paul Doski, and I'm here with the lovely fiance,
Tessa Baker.
And tonight we got special guest Tom Ryan, who is known for his film called Theater of Terror. Wow, almost screwed that one up. We'll try that again. Ready? Theater of Terror. There we go. Hi, Tom. How's it going?
Going good, Paul. How are you?
I am good.
Good.
So, yeah, real quick, Tom, for those that don't know who you are, and like me and Tessa here, can you please give us a small origin story of who you are and how you got into horror?
Sure. So my name is Tom Ryan. I've been watching horror since the 80s, 70s, and I was always a lifelong fan. Got into filmmaking as a young man, recording homemade movies on VHS cameras. And around 2012, I started utilizing the current technology, digital cameras, home editing software, to start making my own films. I started with a film called Day 9, and moved on to a feature film called Faces. Directed a short film called Wrapped, which put me in touch with my current collaborators, Russell Hackett and Diane Hackett, as well as indie horror community uber fan Todd Sturridge, the horror nerd, as one of the producers. And our latest film is The Theater of Terror, an anthology heavily inspired by classic television like The Twilight Zone, The Outer Limits, The Night Gallery, Tales from the Dark Side, movies like Creepshow, the Tales from the Dark Side movie, and the average classic horror anthology. So that's what we've recently released, and that's why I'm here today to discuss it.
Real quick, has this Theater of Terror been around that long, or is it just like its own thing that just recently came out?
I'll try to make a long story short here, but the Theater of Terror was originally something that I came up with a friend of mine, Kurt Stalin, and Fakar Mir, when we were in our early 20s, which was basically a parody of Masterpiece Theater or Siskel and Ebert, where we would review horror films that didn't exist, that would be based on other parodies that we would do of actual horror films. Like we had the Michael Myers Deli, which was basically Michael Myers working in a deli, slicing up your ham and turkey for you. And that was the kind of silly things that we used to throw in and review as the Theater of Terror. And so around 2012, I relaunched the name as a production company for indie horror films, where we wanted to basically create films that we loved based upon our love of the horror genre and stuff that we grew up on. So that was the creation of the Theater of Terror. Now, the film, The Theater of Terror, is actually the namesake of the production company, but based on that same idea of having some short, creepy stories that we tell to the audience.
You know, it's always good to know somebody to collaborate with and everything else to help bring something like this to life. And you guys, didn't you guys do like a premiere one weekend too? I think Patrick was telling me about it or something like that, right?
Yeah, well, we recently on January 12th in Jersey City at the landmark Lowe's Jersey, which is a landmark theater that I grew up right around the corner from my house, and saw a ton of great movies there: Raiders of the Lost Ark, Empire Strikes Back, um, you know, countless horror films there. But we had our premiere. We held our premiere for the Theater of Terror in that theater where we partially shot some of the film. Yeah, we had a great turnout and some really great feedback on the premiere, and it was a great time. It's Jersey City's my hometown; it's where I grew up, so it was great to get back there and deliver some horror to the people of my hometown.
Yeah, and I know Patrick was looking forward to that. That's one reason why we tried to get him on as soon as we could. And he was talking to us about some films that were within this theater of terror that there was 4 or 5. Oh man, I'm trying to remember now. There was the Abducted, Endangered, the Gift,
The Bookworm.
and yes.
Yeah, in the Bookworm, and there's a wraparound story that connects them. All the shorts stories involved in the anthology are actually self-contained stories, but we do have a wraparound story that brings them all together.
Yeah, upon watching, I'm trying to remember how much I liked the GIF. I thought that was a very cool idea. And then the Bookworm came in with those weird, I'm assuming practical effect things.
Yeah.
And that was really cool how you guys were like cocooning the main protagonist in the chair while
without giving away too many spoilers. Yeah, we were heavy on practical effects for the entire anthology. I did not utilize any CGI effects, save a few instances where I had to maybe cover a sign or something in the background. But all of our creature effects were 100% practical. We utilized the service of 3 different effects artists, actually 4 different effects artists over the course of the anthology. In the Gift, on our makeup effects was NVFX Nelson Valila. He handled the makeup for our lead, Heather O'Scanlan. Also in that film, the doll that is basically a part of a very important part of the plot that was created partially by myself, but mainly by Michael Scardillo, who was an effects artist out of New York. He has worked on some major motion pictures as well as plenty of indie projects. But Michael also created the cocoon that you mentioned and some of the other practical effects in the Bookworm, as well as all of the practical effects in Endangered. And then we had special effects artist Beatrice Sniper handled the effects of our alien in the film Abducted, as well as our transformation scenes in Endangered. And then you have Patrick Boyer, who is our actor in Abducted as well as in Endangered, and he builds the costumes that you've seen in the last film. Yeah, we worked with a lot of effects artists. We wanted to. These are friends of ours and very talented people that we know, and we wanted to get them involved in this project. But yeah, 100% practical effects. I think practical effects holds a certain charm to it that's really hard to get out of the current films. And because of the advancements in technology, I can understand the draw to using CGI effects. It's limitless, and if you have the budget, you could really do some amazing things with it. But I do believe that there's a certain charm in practical effects that really helps to draw a viewer into a film, whether or not it's the best practical effects. I've even seen some of the poorest practical effects at least add some humor to a film if it's really bad. But the best of them can really stick that knife and turn it in your gut when it comes to feeling and experiencing whatever horrendous, horrific gore scene or blood and guts scene you're watching at the time. So we wanted to go with practical effects absolutely for the film.
Nice. Yeah, Patrick did a real good job with the alien, and the UFO thing in the woods even looked like it was real enough with the rotating lights or spotlight going in and out kind of thing. And yeah, just overall the practical effects were really spot on. And then you get the nice finale, which is Encountered, which once again Patrick did a great job with that practical effect, even playing as the alien and the last character there. So it was nice. And then we got your little story that's going on while the other stories are going on, which is I guess you're trying to like what would be the word? I guess you're trying to like sell the uh or seal the deal with the lady in the theater by having her watch the film, and that leads up to the finale anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm trying to figure out a good way to like to how you were portraying your character, but it was almost like you
Well, I
were.
think go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you.
No, it's fine. No, I'm just trying to think like in a way, it's almost like you were the. Do I want to say like mastermind behind it?
Well, I wouldn't say mastermind, but I mean, technically speaking, yes, I'm the mastermind behind the film. But my character in the film, so first and foremost, I like the viewer to take away whatever perspective they feel fits best, in at least in their opinion of the film, for sure. So whatever you took from it, I have absolutely no argument or contention against that. What I will say is our intention was that my character Colin is basically a reflection of the theater, and the theater in and of itself is almost a character. He represents, Colin is the name of my character, and he represents that character that is the theater. You know, again, without going into heavy detail about the scenes and the dialogue, since you've seen it, so a lot of his dialogue is basically describing what the theater experience used to be like for moviegoers, and you know, actually talking about the best parts of what the movie experience was for people, especially back in the 80s. And so I think less that Colin is anybody specifically to pay attention to, and what he's saying is more the focus of and the character, and what the character is saying is more the focus for the viewer, and what we're supposed to experience when we're watching the wraparound story, and what it's taking us through, and Amber's experience in that theater as he presents the other terrifying short stories to her.
Right. And without giving too much away, all I'm just gonna say is the ending was pretty cool. What, you remember the ending without saying too much? But do you remember how the ending?
Yes, I do remember the ending.
Yeah. So real quick, Tessa, what out of the stories that were going on, which one did you really like? Did you really like one that stuck out to you?
I kind of liked them all in their own way. I did like the practical effects usage, definitely. I thought the werewolf looked really cool. The alien looked really cool too. I thought the idea of the bookworm was interesting. But I really liked them all. Like I said, in my own way, I guess. I liked how he did it.
I like to hear that, because that's, you know, one thing that we thought about when we made this anthology is I felt that there was a story for everybody, and you know, the gift I consider more of a dark drama than a horror film. The bookworm is kind of a creature feature. The abducted is a sci-fi horror kind of crossover, and then Endangered, of course, is horror. But when we created the stories, we were really hoping that, with anthologies, it's difficult. We know that everyone is not going to love every story. And what's really great about the screenings that we've held and the people that we've talked to about the film is that everybody seems to love a different segment of it. And that to us is really satisfying because, again, we feel like it's almost like we're just throwing a net of horror out there, and we're bound to catch some fans with the diversity in the anthology as far as the kind of stories that we tell. What was your favorite story, Paul?
Oh man. I think I'm gonna go with the alien one. I mean, as much as I like,
Abducted.
yeah, Abducted, just because I like the just the whole idea of it, and I really just like I said, I like that UFO part in the woods. I thought that was really, really nice. And
yeah, those lights. Just so you know, those lights were created by our producer, Todd Starucci's father, Kenny Wills, and Kenny. So I had come up with an idea of how I wanted to do the lights out in the woods, but it wasn't really feasible. And Kenny is he's a lighting and a stage guy, and we told him what we were trying to do, and I told him the idea about the lights and the intermittent flashing that goes on with the lights. And he came up with a great idea of how to set that up, and he is really the one that we need to credit for that effect out in the woods, because it was huge as far as practical effects go and selling the story and setting the scene. I mean, if you recall those scenes in the woods, they're really very cool because you have this really, this dark setting of the blackness of being out in the middle of the woods. Then you have this UFO that's just lighting up the area, and it really, I believe that it really sold the story. But it's funny that you say that. I mean, a lot of people tend to really favor Abducted as far as their favorites in the shorts, and I don't know, Tessa. I don't know if this relates to you, but we've had a lot of female viewers really say that The Gift was one that they really enjoyed. But I don't know if that was because a lot of those.
I did like The Gift, but I also liked Abducted, and I also liked Endangered.
Cool.
And,
Cool.
I thought Bookworm was interesting too, the Bookworm one. So
Cool.
it was really kind of hard for me to pick like a distinct favorite because I kind of liked them all for their own reasons.
Right.
And I kind of picked what I liked from each.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, I almost had to remind myself what The Gift was, and then I remembered. Yeah, but I'm sorry, what were you saying about The Gift, though?
Great to hear that Tessa, found something in each one to really hold on to. And again, that was the purpose of the anthology. We just really wanted to work with a diverse subject matter and actors and effects artists and locations, and it was really a fun project to work on because of that.
Good. I mean, everybody did a great job anyway, besides Patrick, of course, doing all the work. Yeah, that's right, Patrick. No, but everybody did a great job. And just for the record for people listening too, this is actually our second time talking with Tom because the first time wasn't so great. I
didn't have much to say the first interview, but now no, I'm just kidding. It was audio issues, right? Let's clarify that. So,
yeah, we were having some audio technical difficulties.
Oh yeah, and it didn't help that neither of Tessa or I know the film, which was kind of ironic
because we were waiting for it to come in the mail,
and it was literally the next day it came into the mail. So yeah. It was funny.
And I'm glad because you guys got to see, and we have a little bit more to discuss, and you have more pointed questions, I guess, about it.
Yes, and I'm trying to like rewrite them as we're going because I was trying to think earlier, and I was just like, but no, but I'm trying to think because usually when I watch something, I usually can think of something of like this reminds me of this, and the only thing about this film that I saw, Tom, that kind of reminded me of another film
Yeah.
is one that came out recently called All the Creatures Were Stirring. If you're familiar with that one,
I'm not.
check that one out because it's it's almost identical as Theater of Terror in a way, a weird way, but instead of
It shares similarities, I guess.
there's some similarities. Like
I wouldn't say it's like spot on identical, but it shares similarities.
no, there's
in
definitely
the storytelling technique, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, like without saying too much too, but just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea. But as you know, yours is involving a theater, and All the Creatures Were Stirring involved like a play of some sort. But like
Okay.
every movie is a different like quote unquote play, if that makes sense. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's the only difference I see.
And that's on Shutter. That was on Shutter, wasn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, and it's also in
DVD form.
DVD form already.
Yep. But yeah, All the Creatures Were Stirred. Yeah.
I'll check it out. I just looked it up on IMDb and I see it here. So I'm going to check out the trailer. I could see from the description that it's what you're talking about.
So, Tom, what are your thoughts on practical effects versus CGI?
I believe that they both have their place. I mean, CGI is at a place now where if you've got the money, I mean, you could really do some amazing things. The bad thing about it is that if you're working with a low budget and you use CGI, sometimes it's really evident, and I think that unfortunately it almost reflects like a lack of effort in filmmaking. I think when a lot of the films that I grew up on that used practical effects, it was such an important part of the creativity that went into making the film. Sometimes when I see CGI, it feels a little bit lazy, and especially when it's stuff like blood splatters that I know you could do. I mean, I know a major motion picture could do it dirt cheap. I mean, if I could do it on the set of an indie film, I know that these guys could do it dirt cheap, yet they choose to go the CGI route to do blood splatters or something. So that to me feels lazy. But with that said, I do believe that there is a place for CGI. It really helps. I really believe it helps in a lot of the ways that people don't consider. If you need to hide things in a scene like ropes or strings or anything that might be visible to make the effects function, I think that that's a great use of CGI. But when it comes to practical effects, I look at a movie like the remake of The Thing, or I look at in any of the Nightmare on Elm Streets or any of the and really any of the classic films that really used a lot of CGI in practical effects, or in the Evil Dead films or what have you. There's just a real a gut-wrenching feeling when you see something that's done so well that it looks realistic and it's believable. And I don't think you can achieve that with CGI, at least in this stage of its technological development. I think you'll always know that it's CGI when you see it, and practical effects, I think even now, have still exceeded those standards as far as really making something look so real that it's gruesome, as compared to CGI, where CGI you could have someone's head come clean off and get explode with a shotgun blast in a really neat fashion and make it look incredible. Some effects that happen that are split-second effects like that flash across the screen, I could kind of see why they would lean on CGI, because it is easier to do that instead of, prepping for 12 hours to do a head getting shot off for basically what's going to amount to a split second of screen time. I understand that, but there's just something so much more believable and something and just so much more artistic about practical effects, in my opinion. But again, I would never bash CGI. But I do know I have seen films where it's overused. I have seen films where it was needlessly used, where they could have done something practical and probably been cheaper compared to whatever they're paying their CGI artists. So, just as a filmmaker and as an independent filmmaker, especially on this level, I love CGI, especially with some of the artists that I know. I love to see them work, and I just think it's so much more fun, just as being part of the creative process.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you about the blood splatter. I mean, they couldn't go out and get like ketchup or like chocolate and with food coloring or something. Instead, they just gotta go to the old.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen instances where they basically could have just got some stage blood and a pump and used that instead of what they ultimately used, which was a bunch of CGI blood splatters that you could just tell really didn't look great. And so, I mean, I'm not sure what their decision process was on that. To streamline the effects, probably it's a lot easier to do that than to bring in an effects artist. It's going to need to set things up, get everything to look right, and possibly have to take multiple takes if the splat doesn't go exactly as planned. So I understand the decision to go with CGI effects in a case like that. I just don't believe that they help tell the story to the extent that practical effects do. And see, something that's really important to me for the viewer is to forget that they're watching a film because they're so invested in what's happening and the characters and the story and the storyline and the locations and the effects and everything. Just that person that doesn't care to look down at their phone and check their messages because they're so invested in the story. They're so lost in the story. I mean, it's something that we use as a tagline for this film, is saying getting lost in the story has never been so terrifying. But honestly, that just came from the level where when we began this film, we really said, listen, we really want people to connect, get lost in it, enjoy it enough to ignore everything else. When I used to go see movies as a kid, it's way before cell phones, and there were no distractions. When you went to the movies, you were watching that movie from beginning to end. You didn't want to run to the bathroom in the middle of it. You didn't need to talk to anybody. You didn't need to send text messages or check your status update. And so this is just something that was important to us. And so I believe that practical effects is a huge part of that. I really just believe that it just helps you believe what you're seeing, especially when you have some of the best artists that you know working on them. I really believe that it's just a great asset to a film.
No, I completely agree with that.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you on, as long as CGI is used properly and it's not used in over excess and the practical effects are good, that they're believable, then I think that it's a good combination if you have a good balance between CGI and practical effects.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I mean, I know we've seen people use CGI just to like cover up some stuff or make a certain thing just make like more sharper, darker, more realistic or whatever, and that's usually fine too, but
And we've also seen films where they've used CGI way too much.
yeah, just like Tom was stating, he's seen some too that are overly done.
Yeah, I think there's definitely you have to have a level of taste when you use it. I mean, I've used CGI blood splatters in my first short film, Day 9. It was a zombie flick. I really didn't have any budget at all, and I had I had a guy shooting some zombies with from a distance, and so from a distance you would see kind of these blood splatters coming off the zombies to show where the bullets were hitting them, and yeah, it didn't look great. It worked. It was a very short scene, but for what I was working with, it was really the only option. It was either that or not show anything because I didn't have money for squibs. I didn't have money for any kind of blood effects. I didn't have the time. We were shooting in one day what we were shooting. So, I won't say I've never used them, but from that point on, I've basically really tried to focus on getting some great effects people on set and getting them involved and letting them go to work because some of these guys could really pull off some fantastic effects and I love to see them in person, and then when you get behind the camera and you have the opportunity to edit them and to really get what you want out of them, I really think that it's some incredible magic that you can make when you're using practical effects.
Agreed. And going back to Theater of Terror now, so I know. So for the record, again, people, when we last talked, I asked Tom this question, and since he really liked the question, I decided I'd keep it. So, Tom, this one again is: would other indie filmmakers be able to submit their short films for Theater of Terror?
Right. Yeah. So the short answer is no. I'm a great supporter of other filmmakers and of other indie films, and I'm always happy to attend screenings and cross promote films or just promote them if they put them out there. But the Theater of Terror is basically stories written and directed by me, and I more comfortable working that way. It's I would never want to change another writer's vision on what he's trying to create. And so to avoid that, I would ask them to definitely hire someone to direct their films. I've directed films that I didn't write, but that's not my forte. I'm not a freelance director. I am the founder of Theater of Terror. I am the main writer for Theater of Terror. I am the director for our projects. And so it just makes it easier to get stuff done, to get it done quickly, to produce our own stuff. But with that said, if there are any other indie horror filmmakers out there that have short stories or have films that they want to promote and that they want to make and they need help within the community, they can absolutely 100% reach out to us, and I will open the doors to them, to all the resources that I have, because I believe that it's only fair that I help someone else, make their vision come true. There were people that helped me that were in a better position than I was at the time, and so I have no problem giving anyone advice or pointing them in the right direction. Just unfortunately, we are not a production company for outside works. We basically produce our own inside stories. That's not to say that we don't look for actors and cinematographers and makeup artists, stuff from the outside. We definitely do. We meet people, we like them, we get along with them, we see their work, and we like it. We definitely want to work with them. But we're not going to be putting out anthologies of other people's short stories. There's a certain I guess quality that we want to sustain within our work, and it's that largely relies on me being 100% involved in the vision that we put on the screen. And so we did have people from the outside coming in with their stories and their vision. I couldn't guarantee that that's what we could deliver for them, and so I wouldn't want to waste anyone's time.
Your film Faces is on Amazon. How do you feel about them targeting indie filmmakers? Have you been affected by any films getting pulled?
I haven't. I don't know much about why Amazon was doing what they were doing, but all I can imagine is that it was basically a content purge where they were looking to make sure they only have. I mean, if you have 10 million films in your catalog, it really dilutes the experience for your common subscriber that wants to surf and find out. Maybe they were doing it for quality assurance. I'm not sure. My film was not affected, but my film is on Amazon Prime through a distribution company called Green Apple Entertainment. So I'm not sure what is involved there, but I do believe it's contractual as opposed to. I know a lot of filmmakers put their films on Amazon Prime directly through their own communications with Amazon. So I think that Amazon was really targeting those people for content quality. Um, I feel bad for any filmmaker that has their film pulled from a public access forum like that. But then again, in all honesty, Amazon doesn't owe anyone anything. It's a business. They are not obligated to promote independent filmmakers. Independent filmmakers have always been struggling to get their work out there. Facebook allows me to promote my films and my DVD sales for free. Now, if Facebook were to turn around tomorrow and say to me, you know what, we're not going to do this for you anymore. We're going to charge you money. Am I going to go on a tirade against Facebook? No, because without Facebook, what would I have been doing? Putting ads in the newspaper? Putting signs in front of my house on the lawn? So we have to appreciate the fact that there are a lot of technological advances out there that are allowing a lot of us to get our art out there. A lot of us that are less than recognized or less than successful artists to promote and market and discuss our artwork with the public on a massive level at a very low cost. And so I don't think we should necessarily bite the hand that feeds us if they make a decision to the contrary of what they may have done before. What I also understand is that a lot of filmmakers that were taken off of Amazon reapplied and got their film put back on. So I don't know if it was just kind of, again, like a quality check. And they went through it to see, okay, let's see who comes back and decides that they really want their film on here, and how many people have dropped their film on here and disappeared. It could be something like that. If you look on Facebook, I mean, I've got at least 20 friends that are no longer active on Facebook, and they just kind of have that no profile picture thing going on. So what do? Do you unfriend them and get rid of them and make space for more people, or not? And so I think it kind of works along those types of lines. Again, it didn't affect me, so I can't speak from experience or from outrage about it happening to me. When it first happened, I did check the status of my film on there. It's a great honor to have Faces on Amazon Prime and to have that kind of exposure. It's something that we work towards to get our films in front of a larger audience. So I'm appreciative of that. I hope it doesn't get knocked off, but I don't know if my circumstances are actually similar to other indie filmmakers that might have had their film uploaded there directly.
Yeah, I just know there's a lot of people that are definitely not noticing that their films are getting taken down until, somebody either reaches out to them who's trying to watch a film of theirs or something. And like, we were talking to a guy who, his name is J.R. Bookwalter. He had about 40 films on Amazon, and recently 7 of them were taken down. And then there is a film. They actually got it back on Amazon, but it took them a whole month for them to get it back on. But the original release date would have been Christmas of last year for a film called Cherokee Creek. They were actually pulled the night of or day before or something. They're not quite sure. The guy, when we were even talking to the director, he was even saying he had no idea why Amazon decided to pull it down, because he only knew that it wasn't on Amazon because of the people that were waiting for it to appear on Amazon. And since it never did, he told us that he sent a text message to his wow. Why is that word giving me a problem tonight?
Which one?
Distributor?
Yeah. And of course, since it was Christmas, he didn't reply right away. But the day after, he said, "Hey, I don't know. Let me get back to you." And then that's when Amazon sent an email back saying that, oh, they pulled it down because of, quote, offensive content, unquote. And then same with J.R. Bookwalter. He had a title, he said, that got taken down because of an offensive content thing, but they never told him what was so offensive. Same with like Cherokee Creek. And then there's other people that are getting emails that don't really say offensive content. They're just saying, oh, hey, your film got pulled down and there's nothing you can do about it, sort of deal. So, yeah.
Hey, that's not cool. I would hope that they would at least, offer an explanation about why a film was getting pulled. Unfortunately, I didn't experience. Well, I don't want to say unfortunately, but fortunately, I didn't have the film pulled, so I didn't experience that. And again, I'm not really sure what the reasoning behind it was, but from what I understand, now that he says there was some offensive content on there, I'm not sure. Again, it's. I guess it's really in the discretion of the. Of Amazon Prime to decide what is not offensive, but I guess that's any platform that you go on. We are all as filmmakers. If our films were to go to the next level, we're subject to the rating system. Right? So, I remember a time when horror films were largely considered rated X because they were so violent or what have you. I know it's more attributed to pornography when you hear the X rating, but it really, there was a time when horror was really in that same boat. So, I don't know. And it is unfortunate, but at the same time, being that it is a free platform, or one, again, I don't have my films on Amazon. Mine is through a distributor. So I cannot attest to exactly what their situations are with their films being submitted to Amazon, but the fact that it is a platform that puts our work out there, I believe that we're just, unfortunately, we're bound to whatever they decide, whatever terms they decide to show your film.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the other sad things that I was reading real quick is there was another company that had, I should say, at this point, they had about like 200 films on Amazon, and 40 of them were taken down.
Wow.
Yeah, so once again, it's just one of those, like, I don't know. I mean, when we were talking with JR to get his opinion on it, he thinks, and he was hoping that it's just some mistake and that somebody from Amazon were just on the computer accidentally taking down films by pressing a button or whatever. But that seems a little bit fishy, though, because it almost seems like they're going after a specific type of indie films, if that makes sense. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's again, it's really hard for me to comment on it just because I just don't know all the facts
Exactly.
about who's you got to take everybody's word for it when they say that they had their film taken down and they don't understand why. Again, it's a film and it's artistry, and I don't believe that anyone should feel bound by what Amazon believes is appropriate or not, unless you're going to put your film on Amazon, and then you have to. So, I don't know what those circumstances are. My film Faces is a horror film, and there are very dark tones to it, but I would say that there's nothing that is challenging to a mainstream audience to watch. There's no brutally violent, gory, oriented scenes or anything like that. So I don't think that there's any question about, content of that film. Ours, Faces is an R-rated film, and it doesn't go beyond that. And it's I don't think there's anything in that really would cause alarm from Amazon. But again, I don't know what their standard is. So it's hard for me to really comment on it. I'm trying to, but it's hard for me to put my finger on it because I really haven't experienced it.
The answer to this is just Amazon just needs to come out and just give us the answer of why they're doing it. That's all.
Yeah, and have they not offered anything or?
Nope, not yet.
I find that strange, but again, I have heard a lot of filmmakers that had their content removed. I've seen them mention that they were able to get it posted again. So it was almost like a reapplication that Amazon gave them, like, oh, your film's being taken down, but if you feel that this is in error, then please resubmit it, and we will consider putting it back. And some of them have.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The first person that actually mentioned the whole resubmitted, and so that's a very interesting answer. So and if you are hearing that people that resubmit it are getting it back on, then I guess maybe that's what people need to do. It's a stupid thing, yes, but I mean, if it's getting it back on, then whatever. I mean, it's
right.
Yeah.
You have a musical band called Vlad the Inhaler. What type of music is that, and how often will
we be seeing?
Will we be seeing releases?
That's a good question. So we've kind of coined the term psychedelic super metal. We are a band that we've been influenced by tons of different stuff. I grew up listening to classic country and western music. I listened to lots of 60s music. I listened to lots of 70s music. I listened to lots of 80s music. I listened to lots of, and when I say 80s, I mean everything. And when I say 60s and 70s, I mean, everything. From disco to funk to rock to psychedelic music to your stuff and foreign stuff. And my drummer, Jeff Mason, he is influenced by everything from Rush to Megadeth to pro wrestling. He's got tons of influences. My guitar player is the same way. Vlad the Inhaler, yeah. We kind of coined the term psychedelic super metal. It's definitely got a heavy metal feel to it. It doesn't have a death metal or feel to it. It does not have that kind of feel to it. My vocals are very clear. You could usually understand everything I'm singing. If you go to vladtheinhaler.com, you could listen to some of our music, I think. But if not, you can go to Reverb Nation and look up Vlad the Inhaler. You can go to Spotify and look us up. But my music is, I write a lot of the music that we do, and our music is very much like my films, where I try to appeal to a diverse crowd. Like I said, I like all different styles of music, and I don't think we're trying to be any particular style. We do. I mean, if you were to say what kind of music is it, you would say it's definitely rock or metal, because we do have distorted guitars and heavy riffs. But we also have melodic stuff going on. We have a saxophone player in a couple of our songs. So we've been doing that for a while now. I mean, I was in that band in college, and we just started putting out albums in 2013. We put out one in 2013, another one in 2016, and I know we're due for another one. Because of the anthology, I've been on a little bit of a hiatus from the band. The anthology is taking up a lot of my time, so hopefully we can get that going again. If you watch the anthology, the film Abducted opens up with a song, and that song is me and my guitar player from the band, and that's something that we wrote for that film. And you know, we've got some other stuff that we've been working on, but nothing that is studio ready yet. So it's a really it's a fun band. I love working with the guys. We're all family men, and we're all older now. And so the band has changed from, you know, where being in a band used to be gigging all the time and going out and partying. It's kind of like, oh, let's write some songs and get together and practice them. And when they sound good enough, we're going to go into the studio and record an album. And that's kind of what the band's become. We don't do a lot of shows. We used to play some horror conventions. That was basically what we like to do. We're not up for the whole playing in a bar and bringing in our own crowd type of thing. We just, it's kind of like what an 18 to 27-year-old does when he's in a band. And so we're really past that point now. And for us, music is more about creativity than it is about becoming rock stars. But we try to feature our music in some of my independent films and in others. Well, I mean, our band has been in a ton of independent films. If you ask me to list them right now, I'll probably forget about 10 of them, but I could probably name about 5 films that our music's been. So it's kind of cool.
That is cool. I did actually listen to a couple previews of the Vowed, the Inhaler, and
Vlad the Inhaler.
Yeah. And I noticed right away that between the first 2 songs off the latest album that you guys put out in 2016, it went from like a heavy metal thing to like this slowed down. I don't want to say like country, but maybe like maybe like folk music almost in a way. It was just like, oh yeah, this heavy metal, and then the second sample came on, and I'm just like, whoa, like this is
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. I almost found it like an experimental type band because you're everywhere too, so it's nice.
Yeah. It's definitely an experimental type of band, and you know, I never liked. First band I was in, the guys were looking to do like a death metal thing, and we were just so pigeonholed into this whole sound, and it wasn't my thing. It just wasn't. And when I did Vlad and I hooked up with Jeff Mason and our original guitar player Russ Bellucci, we just kind of, I mean, just to be honest about it, we were in college and we used to drink and get stoned and we would just jam. And at the time we were listening to, you know, everything from Mucky Pup to Jimi Hendrix to Black Sabbath to Faith No More to Pantera to Danzig. It's just such a mix of stuff that we listened to, and we just kind of wanted to play whatever we wanted to play. And I know that, you know, that's not necessarily a winning formula if you're trying to get signed. But for us, it was just it was just a fun experimental way to express ourselves and our music. And yeah, So it was very cool.
Nice.
Oh, we still do.
And I applaud it. I applaud it.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. And going back to talk a little bit more, just a little bit about theater of terror, is within the film or story, should I say, was there at any point in time where either you were writing the script or maybe even going to shoot them, where you felt like you had to take some scenes out at all, or were they all pretty tightly written?
Well, I'm extremely organized when it comes to shooting, and basically, I try to make sure that there are not going to be any changes that take place between script to screen when we're ready to shoot. That doesn't mean I don't revise the script before we shoot, but I really won't make any revisions after I send the script out to the actors. So we did not find ourselves in a position where we had to change anything. I'm always open to creative changes. If we're on set and suddenly we're shooting and I turn around and say, my God, that window is beautiful. We need to put the actor in front of the window, so we need to change the scene so the actor walks over to the window. That might be something that happens, but it'll be very subtle changes to just enhance or to utilize things that we might not have expected originally when the script was written that turned out to be great. For instance, in the short film, The Bookworm, the library that we shot in was gorgeous, and it just presented so many great opportunities to shoot so many great angles and capture as much of the library as we could. And so that was something that when the script was written, you know what? Here's a great example of something that did change. When we wrote the script for The Bookworm, I went to scout the location of the library, and I found those large oil paintings of the people that founded the library, and you see them in the film. It's the man and his wife and the son. If you remember those.
I do.
And when I saw those in the library, I said, my God, those are so majestic, and they're just looming over the library like they're watching everyone in the library. This has to be a part of the film. And because of those paintings, I actually added in the plot, into the plot, what those paintings meant. And if you remember the film, at the end of the film, we see some more additional paintings added to the library, or actually sketches, but they all play the same part in the plot and in the story of the film, and that was not originally a part of the script. It was something that I felt needed to be added because it was just such a great set prop that I couldn't ignore it, and I wanted to incorporate it not just as a backdrop, but actually into the story. And so those three paintings they actually play a major part in that last scene.
Nice. No, I actually like that scene that you're talking about with the paintings on the wall. So I definitely agree that it added more to the story and it made it go, uh-huh. So yeah, I definitely agree.
Right.
Remember the scene in The Bookworm with the like the oil paintings or something like that along the lines of like that painting. Yeah, that was recently that was added. So yeah, sweet. I'm trying to think because I don't want to say too much either, but yeah, I mean that I think helps tell the story in a stronger light too, because something like that kind of makes you even more wonder of the as you were saying, the new additions and to the walls, which makes you think more of like I guess the best way I'm gonna say it right now without saying too much is it makes you think like, okay, what is going on here for real?
Well, yeah, it gives you a little sense of the backstory. And what I think is fun about doing these shorts in this anthology is creating these worlds and creating these characters and these stories where you drop the viewer into a situation, just in the middle of a situation, where you don't give them too much background. And I love that kind of storytelling, because in just using the Bookworm as an example, like you said, now you begin to think, where did this all begin? How did this all start? Why is this happening? And yet the movie doesn't necessarily give you those answers, because it's telling you a different story. And it's just to me, that's just such a fun part of storytelling, where we get to tell somebody a story for, the average length of our shorts is from 18 to 22 minutes. If we get to tell somebody a story in the time span of 18 to 22 minutes, but we're planting seeds in their brain that leads to a story that might go on for hours in their head, and a backstory that they can now explore in their own imagination without knowing either way if they're right or wrong about what they believe. It's their own interpretation of what we've put in front of them, which to me is the most exciting thing about creating these films and these stories, for the viewer to get so involved, and, to repeat a word I said before, get so invested in the story, they take a little bit of ownership of it, and they create their own reasoning behind it. And that, to me, is like interactive filmmaking, and I love
it. Yeah, no. I always find sometimes where a film need that extra storytelling versus the ones where you really want the story to be a mystery, so that way it weave you with the imagination of your own. So now you can take that mysteriousness and have your imagination go wild. That's what I like too.
Absolutely.
So, so Tom, what can we see from you in the future?
Well, we are. So, Theater of Terror right now, we're heavy in the promotion phase of the anthology that we just created. So the next phase of, as far as how we're presenting it, as you know, we're selling DVDs and Blu-rays, but we have another event coming up very soon. It is called the Grindhouse Nights Film Festival. This takes place in Dunellen, New Jersey, at a place called Roxy and Duke's Roadhouse. That's going to be on March 16th. We're going to be there. We're going to have a table there. We're going to be selling DVDs and Blu-rays, and we're going to be screening the fourth segment of our anthology, Endangered, at that location, along with many other really fun and creative independent films. After that, we plan on being at the New Jersey HorrorCon Film Festival, and so we will be down in Atlantic City. And for anybody that is not familiar with the New Jersey HorrorCon, it will be taking place on March 29th, 30th, and 31st. We'll have a table there all weekend. You can come by, you can pick up our films, you can hang with us, you can talk to us, you can party with us. And we have submitted our short film Endangered to that film festival. We have not been notified of acceptance yet or not. Our short film Abducted did screen at the last New Jersey HorrorCon, where the lead actor Russell Hackett won a Best Actor award. So we're returning to the con this year. We did really well there last year. We're going to go there this year. And just spread the word about what we're doing, about our film. We're going to have our film Faces on sale. We also have my short film Day 9 and our short film Wrapped on a combo collector's edition DVD that we're going to be selling. We're going to have some great collector's lobby cards there that are going to that are actually a little nod to the old Tales of the Crypt comic book covers. We're going to have one of those for each of the short films. So it's going to be really cool. We're doing that right now. Up until the summer, we're going to be doing some, again, these local events where Theater of Terror will be appearing. Hopefully some of our films will be screening, but we will be selling merchandise. And then hopefully we start writing and creating by springtime. We're not sure what the next project is, but I will give you a little information that you can share with your listeners. We are considering one of three things, which one would be a serious action drama. The second would be a horror comedy. And third would be a follow-up anthology. And just so you know, in my heart, I'm leaning towards the horror anthology because it was so much fun to make this one and so cool to work on so many different types of story with such different subject matter and with so many different actors and crew members. I really want to do it again, but I'm not really sure what our next project is going to be yet. My options open. So, to all your listeners, come by and see us at Grindhouse Nights at Cafe Z in Union, New Jersey. Or come by and see us at New Jersey Horror Con and weigh in and let us know what you want to see next. Because everything we do is really for the fans. We're really the kind of a production company that we strive to make the kind of films that people want to see and that people used to love. So the fans and their feedback is very important to us.
Awesome. And just in case you didn't mention it, Tom, where can people find the Theater of Terror?
So go to our website at www.theaterofterror.net. And when you spell the word theater, make sure it's TheaTre. And that's theaterofterror.net. You could purchase our films there. You could watch all of our trailers there. You could read about what we're about. You could read some interviews that we've done in the past. I'm trying to get this site up to date. We're pretty up to date right now. There's a few things that are outdated on the site. Most of them are up to date. But check us out there. You can check us out, the Theater of Terror, on Facebook as well. Give us a follow. We're always looking for extras. We're always looking to cross-promote work. And, that's the way that you could find us and stay up to date on our next appearances and where we're going to be and what film you're going to get to see.
Awesome. And Tom, for your final question for tonight?
Yep.
What advice would you give to people wanting to start their own movies or creating music?
Well, what I would say to anyone that wants to do that is that you now live in an era where it's easier than ever to create your own art and to get it out to the world. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Vimeo, just to name a few outlets that you can use for very low prices to no price and to get your work out to the public. If you want to make something, be serious about it. If you want to be in a band or you want to be a director or you want to be a writer, then pursue it, practice it. Don't expect to make magic on the first attempt. I was in bands since I was 17 or 18 years old, and I wrote a lot of really bad songs with really dumb lyrics. But it took those experiences and it took those failures to lift me up to where I feel I am now, where I do things that are a little bit of a higher quality. Same thing with my films. I've made a lot of VHS films that were really bad when I was a kid and a teenager. And when I say bad, I just mean they were just dumb and just not entertaining and just poorly executed. But it was me starting the process. I also didn't try to get those films into a movie theater. They were just for my own entertainment. So it was a learning process. So I would say to anybody that wants to do that, you need to do it, execute it, prepare yourself, be extremely organized. If you're going to work with other band members or if you're going to work with other crew members or actors or filmmakers, make sure you know what you want to do and how you want to do it, and make sure you work with people that are reliable. Look, I've worked with people that I probably will never work with again, and I've worked with people that I will almost definitely work with. It's a process. It's not going to be perfect, but the only way that you're going to get to a point where you could be proud of what you're doing is to fail at it multiple times, but continue trying it and learn from your mistakes and build on that and be smart. Really have a passion about it. Don't just say, I want to be a sculptor because your friend is a good sculptor. Don't say, I want to be a director because your friend directed a great movie. Don't say, I want to be a singer in a band because your friend is a singer in a band and they get all the attention, get all the girls. These are not the reasons to do these things. You have to have a passion for it. You have to have a love for it. You have to feel it.
But so, yeah, I didn't mean to awkward silence, but yeah, I was just curious.
No problem.
But yeah, so Tom, thank you so much for your time on coming in, and I'm glad this time around that it seemed to be working a little bit better. There was some weird up and down moment, but it wasn't like last time. So I'll do my best to boop up the volume on those little low parts, but
no problem.
Definitely better for sure. Is there anything that you feel like we didn't touch on as well? I mean, I just want to make sure, because is there anything that you really need to that you would like to share with us that we didn't touch on, or do you feel like we touched on enough?
I think we covered everything. I don't think there's much more that anybody could do but see the film.
Well, that's awesome. And Tom, I'll just say real quick that if you ever want to come back on and talk with us, even if it's not about your films and you just want to share your opinions on other type of horror topics that we are going to be doing, then you're more than welcome to jump on board and talk with us. And speaking of topics and stuff, if you are free, Tom, on February 16th at about 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Patrick is actually going to be joining us again.
Oh, great.
He's going to be talking about how we should get younger people to start
early
with the practical effects. So if you'd like to jump on that conversation, the more the merrier.
Cool. That sounds great. If you could send me a reminder, I'd appreciate that. I'd love to be on with Pat. He's awesome.
Yeah, I will definitely send you a reminder. And for everybody else listening, thank you so much for your time. I hope I hope my edit does a good job. So just don't kill me. I did my best. I did my best.
I've already murdered him once already, so
yes, I don't need to be murdered a second time. And thank you once again. Thank you so much, Tom. And as always, people, stay scary.